Okay, this is a piece I wrote a while back. I've changed the ending, which is why I've got some notes in my hand, because I haven't learnt it yet. And this is called, well, it was originally called The Story of Stories, but I suppose it's called The Story of Libraries now. In the beginning was the Word. Yes, I know, it sounds absurd, but it's nearer the truth than you might believe. So listen, good people, as I weave this little tale of hope and glory, and thus reveal the story of stories. In the very beginning were the letters, a swirling cosmic alphabet strewn across the universe, which sets in motion, for better or worse, the whole shebang, life as we know it, from the mighty amoeba to your humble poet. But first, there was chaos, with the letters all jumbled, like the tiles in a Scrabble bag, randomly fumbled, across billions of light years thinly spread, where letter upon letter, all as yet all unread. Was it evolution or intelligent design that called on these letters to want to combine? For slowly they started to form tiny groups, primordial syllables in the alphabet soup. And like DNA made from ABCs, these delicate little filigrees of sense and meaning, unspoken, unheard, started joining together to make up words. Countless words in countless languages, mixing and matching and making word sandwiches, till, in a leap up the ladder momentous, a few lucky words from the very first sentence. Articles, adverbs, nouns and adjectives form objects and subjects in a trillion collectives. Each sentence, thought, idea and expression had the self-same all-consuming obsession to climb further up the evolutionary tree and become parts of a paragraph, a stanza, a chapter and verse, making myriad patterns across the universe. And each of these jostled and scrummed for position as they fought to fulfill their final ambition, to climb further up the evolutionary tree and become part of a story, a tale. Each of the tales that ever were told had to go through this process and slowly evolve. From Jane Eyre, the Da Vinci Code, and Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road, to the Cat in the Hat, the Lord of the Rings, and Captain Corelli's mandolin, Once Upon a Time in the West, Star Wars, Star Trek, Galaxy Quest, Dulce et Decorum Est, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. All of the stories, the poems, the fables that ever were ready or willing or able to be conjured up or be written down have, for millennia, been hanging around, waiting in space, in the dark and the cold, to be given new life, to be heard, to be told. And each of these stories, an infinite number, seem destined forever to suffer this slumber, until in a bid to end their strife, they all work together to create life. This for the stories was the only solution, so they set in motion our own evolution. And finally, many centuries later, we became the creatures they call the narrators, with ears for the hearing, tongues for the telling, hands for the writing and minds for the spelling. Each and every generation has been brought forth for the story's narration. And we stuck to our job pretty well through the ages, using our voices, writing on pages, sometimes as poets, sometimes as bards, whether traditional or avant-garde, for we all come to worship when being narrators, as we breathe fresh life back into our creators. Most think they've forgotten the debt that we owe, but we all have an inkling. Oh yes, we know that the stories came first, but that knowledge is scary. So if you're looking for proof, then just think of libraries. They're not just for lending or doing research. Each library's a temple, a chapel, a church. So give some respect to our bibliothèque. It's where we keep ignorance and folly in check. It's where we revere and pay homage to the language that made us, the knowledge that grew all those eons ago in the vastness of space. So don't just say shh. Say libraries are ace. And what are the stories? Well, right now they're quite anxious, as they've learned of a list that's both thoughtless and thankless. A list of our libraries all facing the chop, and it's down to us to make this book buck stop. But libraries gave knowledge, and knowledge is power. So let's flex some muscle in this darkest hour. Let's all be narrators, and each tell a story of heritage, culture, community, glory. Let's all work together towards the best ending for our tale of stories and libraries and lending. Let's cause a commotion. Let's kick up a fuss. For the end of this story is all down to us. Thank you.
Hey!